All right, I have 7 o'clock, so we will call the meeting to order. And if you would join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. So again, just tonight to remind people, please make sure that your microphones are being used. We will, for several reasons, be taking the agenda out of order a little bit. So we will, for now, move points of pride down a little further until our presenters are able to be here. So we'll go down to approval of manifests.
I certify that the manifests listed below, totaling $3,056,006.80, have been reviewed by me and found to be proper charges against the Kentucky Valley School District for goods and/or services received and have been properly processed prior to the submittal to the school board.
I move we approve the manifest.
Second.
All those in favor? Opposed? Abstentions? Okay,
Can I say
Dr.
something?
Forrest.
I'd
Oh,
like to
hold on.
celebrate the appearance of our new
Sure.
business manager.
Sorry.
I'd like
We
to
have-
celebrate the appearance for a new business
Yes. For those of you who don't know, Neil Cass, our new business administrator, has started. So he will be joining us on a regular basis now. So welcome. Okay, Dr. Forrest.
The school board recently adopted a memorialization policy, and I just wanted to make a statement before public comment. Sometimes when we put a policy together and when we have to go to implement it, it can feel very different. And we've gotten a lot of thoughtful feedback, and so I have a recommendation. I do want to acknowledge Heather McKillop, the high school principal, is, as most of you know, always at the board meeting, and she wanted to be here for this. Today was the senior trip. They went down to Boston. She committed to being a chaperone months ago. She had an assigned group. She was trying to find somebody else, and I encouraged her to go because I thought it was important that she be a part of that trip, but otherwise she would be here. The loss of a student or staff member is a deeply painful experience that touches the entire school community. As a district, we are committed to honoring the memory of students and staff who have died in a manner that is respectful, inclusive, and consistent with our educational mission. To help guide these decisions, the district adopted a school board policy to ensure that practices are carried out with care and consideration, and that policy applies to all. Administration is recommending that the board rescind that policy and send it back to policy committee for some further work. But I also wanted to share what is being put into place so everybody knows. To honor the memory of students who have died during the last year, the following will happen, and this is happening upon request or with the permission of families. This year's edition of the Conval High School yearbook includes a memorial page. Parents submitted a photograph and text, and students helped select lyrics from songs that complement the page. Extra yearbooks have been ordered with the permission of families. These yearbooks will be put out during the signing of yearbooks so that students can personalize copies with tributes and comments. And then these yearbooks will be given to parents. Students asked if they could do something to honor their classmates at this year's senior picnic. This was supported by administration and with the approval of families. They are going to, if the yearbooks have come in, they want the yearbooks out for students to sign at the senior picnic. They want a friend of the students who have died to speak on their behalf. And then they're going to release butterflies. So that's completely coming from the students. During the opening remarks of graduation, Ms. McKillop will be recognizing the students who have died this year and asking for a moment of silence. There will also be a chair with flowers on it, a single chair to represent the loss that our community has experienced this year. And then honorary diplomas will be awarded if that is something that the family wants. And we'll provide families with different options. So if they would like a family member to come up onto stage at graduation to accept that honorary diploma, they can, or that can be something that we do in private with the family based on what they would like. Thank you.
We'll move down to public comment. Oh, yes.
I assume that's pending the rescinding of above-aforementioned policy, yes?
No, we reviewed the policy, and so there is a section that says that identifies some things to avoid. It does not say that we can't do them. So administration felt like we could move forward and work with parents to develop a plan.
And that policy is on the agenda tonight, so we'll talk about that more when we get down there. All right, public comment. Public comment is meant to allow the board to hear feedback from constituents regarding board policies, decisions, and activities. There's a 2-minute time limit on public comment. These comments will be listened to, but the board will not react to them at this point in time. If people have questions that they still need answered, they can contact the superintendent's office and we will get your questions answered for you. If you're going to make public comment, please come up to the microphone and there's a button to push and you see the green light go on. Please first let us know what your name is and which community you're from, because we do need to take minutes from this. So, thank you.
Good evening. My name is James Roberg. I'm from Antrim, New Hampshire. I would ask the board if I could have an extra minute.
Yes.
Thank you. Good evening, members of the Conval School Board, Superintendent Forrest, and District Leadership. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak tonight. I want to begin by acknowledging the work each of you does to support the students, family, and staff across our communities. We all share a common goal to make our schools safe, inclusive, and compassionate spaces where every student is seen, valued, and supported. I'm here tonight on behalf of Damian Cronin and our family, but also on behalf of every future student and every future family in the district who may experience unimaginable loss. Damian was a 17-year-old high school student who had a heart as big as his dreams. He was energetic, kind, and full of purpose. He loved old trucks, he was learning a skilled trade, and had committed himself to joining the Marines. His sudden passing shattered our family's world. But what deepened that pain was the experience of when being shut out and having to fight for even the most basic remembrance from a school that was supposed to know him, care about him, and honor his life. Let me be clear, this isn't about special treatment, this is about human dignity. It's about asking one of the most basic human questions we can ask as a community. How do we honor a child who was taken too soon? And even more urgently, what happens if we don't? The current approach and the lack of clear, compassionate policy forces grieving families to navigate uncertainty and bureaucracy at the worst moments of their lives. That isn't just frustrating, it's cruel. No parent should ever have to advocate for their child's memory while mourning that child's absence. And now I ask you to consider something none of us want to imagine, but something that has become all too real in communities just like ours across the country. What if this district were to lose multiple seniors in a single tragedy, a bus accident, a fire, or even a school shooting? Would the district remain silent? Would those students' names be withheld from graduation programs? Would the school hide behind ambiguous procedures and call that respect? And let me ask you something even more personal. What if it was your child or grandchild? Would you want to spend your days grieving and your nights fighting for their name to be spoken, their life to be acknowledged? Would you call silence compassion? Because if the answer is no, and I believe it is, then I ask you to help us change this. I know the superintendent has recommended that, and I hope that the school board will follow. We need a clear, compassionate, family-centered memorial policy, one that says when a student dies, we will honor their life. One that ensures families will not have to fight for recognition, one that allows the issuance and respectful acknowledgement at graduation, should the family request it. This idea is not new or radical. In fact, it reflects best practices that are already being followed across this country, policies designated not just to guide administrative decisions, but to uphold human dignity and support grieving families and in their most vulnerable moments. California, Assembly Bill 2109 allows for posthumous diplomas to be issued. Texas Education Code 28.0259 mandates that school districts adopt policy for granting diplomas at families' requests. Massachusetts empowers local school committees to issue diplomas and policies that are compassionate and consistent. Florida, North Carolina, the list goes on. Additionally, national education and mental health organizations such as the National Association of Secondary School Principals, National Association of School Psychologists, Coalition to Support Grieving Students, and American Academy on Pediatrics all strongly recommend that school establish clear protocols for acknowledging the death of a student. What these examples show is that it's possible and necessary to balance compassion with consistency, that it's possible to honor a lost student without overshadowing others, and that policies like this are neutral. It actively creates harm, leaving families to fight during their most painful time of their lives. Another thing I want to be absolutely clear about, because this matters deeply to us, is what we're asking for doesn't take away from a single graduating senior, nor does it diminish the celebration they deserve. We honor and support every student who has reached this milestone. The class of 2025 has worked hard. They've overcome challenges, grown together, and earned every bit of their celebration. We're not here to disrupt that. We are not here to overshadow it. We are simply here asking for space, respectful, compassionate space for at least one student who should have been there alongside them. This isn't about choosing one student over another. This isn't about choosing this is about choosing compassion in addition to celebration. It's about recognizing that honoring Damien respectfully and meaningfully is a gesture that speaks volumes about who we are as a community. We're not asking for pity. We're asking for compassionate policy. We're not demanding special attention. We're asking for fairness, for consistency, and for a small but deeply meaningful gesture of compassion. Damien's family should not have had to stand here, but because we are, perhaps future families won't have to. Please do the right thing. Let Damien's legacy be one of light, not silence. Let it lead to change. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who would like to speak? Okay, going down to reports. Student representative.
Good evening. We have actually had a lot going on at Conval these past couple of weeks. I'll start off with some of the past events that have been happening. We had our Pops concert last Thursday where they had a great turnout. Just on Monday, we had our school elections, and I'm grateful to say that we do have 2 students that are very interested in the school board rep positions for next year. The track and field boys placed 4th at the D2 Meet of Champions, so congratulations to them. They continue to break more school records and just did an amazing job this season. The Film Fest, I had a conversation with Mr. Levesque about that, and he said it went absolutely phenomenal. And And then for upcoming events, we have the AP German and Spanish play on Thursday, which they are super excited about, but also a little bit nervous, but they got it. I went through the same experience and they're going to do amazing. Then we also have our sports and academic achievement ceremony next Wednesday. And then after that, we have the scholarship night for seniors. Boys and girls lacrosse, as many of you have heard, made it to the playoffs for this season. We're so grateful that they had a good season and they have played amazingly. And then for this Friday, we have our spring fling. And then right after that, we have mud volleyball, which is our favorite tournament to have every year. So that'll be a good end of year. And then, of course, graduation on the 14th.
Thank you. And we have a gift for you from the board for all the hard work that you've put in letting us know how the high school is doing. And we hope things go well for you after graduation. So. Curtis and withdrawal study.
Thanks. I have a double. I'm going to add Selectmen's advisory to that as we met prior. It's not on the agenda, but so the Selectmen's Advisory Committee met on Thursday, May 22nd. We recapped a few questions regarding the withdrawal studies. Selectmen inquired about the cost of the cost to the district to conduct withdrawal studies. And we had discussion around the district's responsibility to share cost versus having any one town, say the withdrawing town, bear that cost. We gave an update on the potential impact of pending legislation in Concord, and we also gave an update on the board's work during the month of May. Dr. Forrest highlighted the adoption of the new math programming in the elementary schools, as well as the new hires to the SAU. The Withdrawal Study Committee met following SAC. An update was provided around the town of Temple's plan to hold a special town meeting to rescind their withdrawal petition. As an aside update, that meeting in Temple was postponed or pushed off as they hadn't had the supervisors of the checklist meet in time, and it's my understanding through Jim, prior conversation, that they still intend on having that meeting, but it has not happened yet or been scheduled. So we'll keep you posted there. Following this, we acknowledged receiving Francistown's letter and the results of their special town meeting where they voted to initiate a withdrawal study. The committee will now take up their request. And I also made clear our intentions to complete that study with time to draft any reports ahead of the state board's November 1st deadline. During Francistown's special town meeting, they voted on a second warrant article petitioning the study of their withdrawal from the SAU. I shared our attorney's understanding of the RSA governing the withdrawal from an SAU and explained that their placing of that warrant article was out of step and ahead of the process and is not legally allowed to be taken up by the Conval district. Withdrawal from an SAU would need to be taken up solely by the newly formed district should their withdrawal be approved. The remainder of the meeting was spent reviewing the multi-district structure and the responsibilities of an independent school district. We acknowledged the need to create a financial subcommittee and to begin reviewing financial information that it will be relevant to the withdrawal studies. Our aim is to begin discussing the financials at our next scheduled meeting, which will be the end of June, and begin the work of the subcommittee in July. We'll have a date on that after our next meeting. That's it.
Budget and property.
In about 15 minutes. Thank you. We finished our meeting about 15 minutes before this one started, and there are two things to pass on. One is the fiscal year 25 year is about to close, and we will have next meeting, we'll have to vote on all of the encumbrances. And it's looking like we've got enough money to cover the $925,000 in trust funds, the $500,000 we committed to in terms of returning the taxpayers, and some more, but Neil wouldn't tell us how much more, so. The other thing we talked about was we went through the capital improvement plan, and admittedly, it hadn't been scrubbed and worked on in a long time, but we did boil down to our first cut at the fiscal year 26 trust fund expenditures we plan on making, bring it to the board, and also the first cut at what we would put in the fiscal year 27 budget and trust fund summary. What we can't really address until we talk about it as a board, and hopefully we talk about next Tuesday at our goals meeting, is what do we want to do about the CT in high school? Piece of that is what's the state going to be doing going forward on that, and do we want to do anything with the middle schools? So once we have direction from the board in terms of whether we want to take any big projects on for both of those, which would require bond, then we'll be able to decide what we do out in the out years, 2008 and beyond. We have a lot of stuff we need to do, a lot of money we need to spend to get these facilities back to where they need to be, so that's it.
Okay, thank you. At this, we're going to move the memorialization policy up for discussion up to this point, so that we can do that. Again, as Dr. Forrest said, you know, a lot of times when we do the policies, we do a lot of research on the policies and get feedback from the State School Boards Association as far as proper wording for the policies. But until the policies actually go into effect, we don't know how they're going to come out. So at this point in time, Dr. Forrest is recommending that the board rescind the policy as it is, and so that it can go back to the policy committee for further review. So can we start by
So move.
second?
Second.
Okay. Questions or comments?
I'm certainly in favor of taking that back to the policy committee as a member of that committee. I would like to say that we did not know that there was a pending request when this policy was passed, nor did we anticipate, I think, the guidance the property or the policy committee got was not focused enough on what the parents desired, but rather there was some pushback on some of these things as to the opening of wounds for those that might not want to see this memorialization and have those wounds opened. So I think one of the things that I would expect to do when we bring it back to the policy committee is to place a lot more emphasis on what the family desires and how their rights and wants might be upheld, and rather than having a one-size-fits-all policy.
Thank you. Other comments or questions? Okay. All those in favor of rescinding the policy at this time and sending it back to the policy committee, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Very much. I see our presenters are here now, so we will go back up and have points of pride.
So for points of pride, Amy Rushford, teacher from the high school, has brought, oh, just the students are coming up. The students who were the organizers behind the high school's recent Day of Giving. So I'm going to turn it over to them. Make sure the mic is on.
I think it is, yes.
Okay, perfect. And if you want to introduce yourselves, and then we'll let you present.
Okay, thank you. Hi, everyone. My name's Ava Cronin,
I'm Charlie Pyle. I'm Zadie Marshall.
and we're all members of the National Honor Society and the Day of Service Committee at Conval, which was a day at Conval where we had students participate in service activities on and off campus.
The day of service happened last Thursday, and we were able to have, I think, over 300 off-campus participants, and then what was it? 200 on campus.
This is us and the rest of our committee who couldn't make it tonight, but they still did very good, hard work to make this happen. The vision of Conval's Day of Service was to dedicate an afternoon for students and teachers to volunteer with nonprofit organizations and local government facilities. We took part in service projects that make a meaningful difference in the community.
We started off this day with regular classes in the morning, and we went to all of our classes. And then in the afternoon, we split off into the projects, and some people went on the buses off campus, and some stayed on campus. For planning the day of service, we met multiple times throughout November and December, and we applied for a grant for $1,000 from the National Association of Secondary School Principals. And then from January through April, we contacted nonprofit organizations and local government departments within the surrounding towns. And then we also explored on-campus opportunities and found what would work best to have engagement with everyone.
In May, we identified and ordered all the supplies for the projects, and we coordinated with all the bus companies. This was kind of the finalizations of the plans. We created posters and slideshows to share with staff and students. We executed the day of service. Obviously, we finished our grant and wrote the finalizing report that we sent back to them about how the project went, and we donated the items collected and a plan for distribution.
Okay. Some of our opportunities and activities were in. Is that listed? Okay, sorry, I'll wait.
Okay, got it.
There we go. We went along in some towns in Antrim and a lot of the elementary schools. Some of them were just playing around with the kids. Some of them were reading books. There was a lot of cleanups and a few things at the Harris Center and a lot of other activities. For on campus, we had two different paths, which I think we talk about later in the slideshow. But for on campus ones, we had ones that took longer, like the whole entire service block, and those were ones like roadside cleanup, making the blankets, and different things like that. So people were able to sign up for things that interested them.
And we put a collection of photos we got from Day of Service and everybody doing their different service projects. So this was our Peterborough and Fire Police Department one, and I think they cleaned police cars in the area around it, and they hung out with like all the service dogs, and a lot of people really liked this project. And this is more from the fire department.
This is paracord lanyards to send to troops. It was in one classroom, and I think they made like 50 or like 60 lanyards. We had students come down to N68 to help sort different packages of food. That was one that we had that people could walk to instead of taking a bus.
The pass along project was students sorting different clothes and sizes for foster care kids to go into the system.
We also had the Linus blankets, and I think we made, do you know how many we made? Like 15 blankets, and they were pretty quick, and a lot of people enjoyed making them.
At the Peterborough Town Library, we had multiple different service opportunities. One was sharing with the senior community on how to use like electronics and better get onto like Wi-Fi and stuff. And then we also had cleaning up the library. We originally were supposed to have outside cleanup, but due to the weather, we had to move it inside.
Sorry, thank you. Oh, got it. For Rivermead, we partner with Rivermead a lot for NHS. So they went and they hung out with all the residents. Yeah, they hung out with all the residents, and a lot of people really enjoyed that, and we really enjoy going when we usually do it too.
In the River Center, they distributed a lot of mulch for the playgrounds, I think. Yeah.
As well as NHS running the day of service, we also had different clubs like Interact wanting to take a part of it. So they ran their own roadside cleanup. We had 30 students involved in it, and we also had people from the Rotary Club come down to help out.
Sorry, I don't know if our clicker works very well. Our next project was the Dublin Consolidated School. We went to a lot of elementary and middle school level schools, and they hung out with the kids, and they just like made their day, honestly.
Oops. Here's just another elementary school as well. If it'll stay. I think they cleaned up the outside and just kind of made the playground a little more friendlier.
For Pierce Elementary, we also went and hung out with the kids, and as well as making teddy bears to pass along to people.
One of our on-campus projects was making posters for the incoming freshman class. So we had people make different posters like for the library, the nurse, cafeteria, to just help make Conval more welcoming.
This was one of the projects at Conval, so we put mulch in the flower beds in the parking lot islands just to make everything look nicer and more welcoming.
We also had opportunities to just sit down and make cards for hospitalized kids. And I think we did a few other card making for organizations.
This is more of Pierce Elementary.
This was the teddy bear side of things. We also went to the community closet. Our representative, Ryan, was also there. So shout out, Ryan. Thank you so much.
We also went to Antrim Rec Department in the town hall and helped them set up different projects.
Conval for Climate was also a club we partnered with, and they made reusable bags to donate to different, I think, grocery stores or bagging areas.
for the cornucopia project, which the school partners with a lot as well, I think they started planning stuff and kind of just organizing and cleaning up their gardens.
This was similar to the Peterborough Police Department and Fire Department, but they also went and helped clean the fire trucks at Antrim. We tried to get a variety of different towns involved so that there was a reach throughout all 9 towns.
This was part of our courtyard project, so we built picnic tables for the courtyard as well as making the mural for the courtyard just to make it look better and to make an area for all students to go.
This was another one of our card making projects that was on campus, so people could pick and choose who they wanted to write their cards for.
At the end of the day, we had everyone join back up in the gym and we gave out some like raffled gift cards to thank everyone for their service. And we welcomed everyone back with cookies and drinks.
It was very, very rainy that day, so that was us in the ponchos. We persevered. Thank you for giving us your time, and we really hope to continue this in the future. We are juniors this year, so we're hoping it to carry it to our senior year and make it an annual event at Conval.
We want to thank you both for the presentation plus the day itself. I know I've heard all sorts of terrific comments about all the different activities that were done. I know the staff at Pierce was thrilled with the work that was done over there. So thank you very much, and we hope that it is a yearly event. So thank you. Oops, before you leave, can you come back up for a minute? Oh,
Sorry. I just wanted to say, thank you guys for all the work. I was here at the SAU for a meeting for whatever reason on during the day of service, and Dr. Forrest brought us to see the work that students were doing just over there with the End 48 Hours of Hunger, or the 48 Hours of Hunger program. And I think you guys had filled over 150 bags of food to donate, and it was awesome to see. So thank you.
Thank you.
Jim?
I wanted to ask, how hard was it for you guys to get your grant?
When it came to the grant, we had to, as you saw in the slideshow, we started like applying for it in November and December. There was a lot of questions that had to do with it, and you had to follow like a certain outline of, there's like restrictions on what we could do, and we had to get it in a certain time frame, and we had to be like specific on what we were going to be using the funds for. Luckily, we were able to dip into our extracurricular funds as well, so we were able to cover more than we thought we were going to be able to. But when it came to getting the grant alone, it actually went smoother than we thought it was going to.
Because I have 2 thoughts on that. One is it sounds like a good learning event for you guys, but if you run short of money, don't be afraid to come back and ask the board. We got some money we could maybe give you 2 from our curricular or our trust funds. I love this project. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else? All right, now thank you.
Thank you. The feedback really means a lot. Thank you.
All right, we'll now go down to the consent agenda. Any questions on the consent agenda?
Well, I will just say this is the time of year where we're doing lots of hiring, so we did give an updated personnel sheet with resignations and nominations.
No questions or comments? Okay, going down to the superintendent's report then.
Okay, monthly events. Sorry, I should have this open. Oh, maybe I don't have the calendar. Brenda's gone, so my admin assistant. So I'm not as prepared as, thank you. Okay, June. We are in the first week of June. We have tomorrow night, we have the community forum with the fair funding, the Funding Fairness Project coming and presenting with the school board at the LHT. So I didn't know if you wanted to, I'm looking at Curtis,
Yes, thanks.
Communication Committee.
The forum will be held in the Lucy Hurlin Theater at the Conval High School tomorrow. It starts at 7 p.m. The evening will be half presentation, half Q&A, and it'll be focused on how New Hampshire funds public education. We'll discuss the relationship between school funding and property taxes and the impact of New Hampshire's funding model on communities in the Conval district and around the state. I hope that as many of you out there as possible can attend, and board members too. I hope to see you all there if you can make it. For anybody who can't attend, we will be live streaming it on the Conval Events YouTube channel. It'll be there to view afterwards. If you have questions during the presentation, you can submit them via email to forum@conval.edu. That's forum@conval.edu. I believe Janine will be monitoring the incoming email, and we will alter questions between people in attendance and people submitting them at home. So thank you.
And I don't have anything else for this week. Is that correct? Okay. Next week on Tuesday, the 10th, we have a school board goal setting work session, and that's at 6 p.m. at the SAU. And on Saturday, we have high school graduation at 10 a.m. at the high school. Anything else for that week? Okay. The third week of June, we have a communications committee meeting on Tuesday, the 17th at the SAU, followed by a school board meeting. And that's all that I have for that week. Okay. For the fourth week of June, we have policy committee meeting at 6 p.m. on Tuesday, the 24th at the SAU. And on Thursday, the 26th, we have a Selectmen's Advisory Committee meeting at 6, followed by the Withdrawal Study Committee meeting at 7 p.m., both at the SAU. Anything else for the month of June? Okay. The month of July is wide open. We typically have one board meeting in July, the second Tuesday of the month. So I don't know if we want to get that on the calendar, and if there's anything else we want to get on the calendar.
Pardon me?
I'd like to propose a budget property meeting the same day as the school board meeting.
Okay.
So on the 22nd of July, the second or third Tuesday of the month. Oh, no, it's the 15th.
15th.
Yes.
And what time? 5:30 or 5:45?
Same as today. I'll be on time this time.
Okay, so on the 15th, we'll have budget and property at 5:30 and a school board meeting at 7.
It-
July.
Yeah, the 15th of July, not the second Tuesday. Yep. Okay. Any other additions?
We can add communications. We'll have a meeting before the next board meeting, so we'll come back to you with our schedule then.
Okay, thank you.
was writing. It's a mess. School board requests. I have the preschool presentation ready to send out. Ben, during the presentation, the board had asked for data to be presented in a different way or additional data around, I'm not remembering exactly what it is, but Ben took care of it. He sent it to me, so I will get that sent out with the video. I will do that tomorrow. Preschool will be on the agenda for the next board meeting. So if you have any questions or things that you want to make sure that we address, getting those questions ahead of time would be really helpful. So I can make sure the right people are here to answer them. And that's all I have.
All right, down to old business. We have 3 policies to look at for a second read. Janine?
Thank you. I noticed in the minutes for last week, it said that this would be, that the committee would consider substantially shortening it. I do not see that a word has been changed. And there are many words that need to be changed. It's not simply shorter. There are many errors in there. I recommend that the committee take another look at it and we look at it as a group later.
Okay, so you, this is a long-standing policy that is, directly impacts like the way that the federal government requires us to process and maintain and expend federal funds. So if you like, we can take a look at it, but we've never run into any problems with our audits. And we do get audited every year for how we spend those federal funds, so we can take a look at it if you like.
Yeah, I'm new here and I appreciate that the way things were done in the past, they worked well. It doesn't mean that they're done as well as they could. There are at least an average of 3 errors per page in this long document. I'm not speaking about judgments, I'm speaking about errors. Some of them are legal errors where they make mistakes in language that make difference in the meaning of the sentence. So I'm recommending that they take a harder look at it. I will give them a copy of my comments in writing if that helps them at all.
Okay, so DAF will go back to policy along with the memorial policy. GFA,
Janine, I
Hold on.
recommend we adopt DAF because it does have the required change in the dollar threshold at this point. I recognize and appreciate Carl's commentary on this, and I agree. But that's not our policy committee's language that he's questioning. That's language flowed down for incorporation into this policy.
exactly.
It comes from, it's not our language necessarily to change, but I see your, I've read it and I see the wills and the shalls and the changing of meaning throughout it. It is inconsistent, but as I said, it's not, the content of this isn't our language. It comes from
Comes from the federal
the federal
government, as far as I
eventually,
understand.
right? And we know they never make a mistake, but we do need to change the dollar threshold, which is really the only change in this policy from where it was previously.
Mhm.
So I still recommend that we adopt it and agree to take it up both from the shortening, creating a take it up again and bring it forward later.
Okay, that's a good suggestion. I'm not so sure about the shortening part, but,
we'll see.
yeah, I
Yeah.
don't think that it's possible to do that, but we will take another look at it. But we do need to adopt it tonight, I agree, in order to, meet our deadlines. So What was it?
I said I would second the motion, sorry.
Okay, so Jim, did you make the motion?
I move to adopt policy BAF as presented.
Okay, and we have
Bill
a second?
seconded.
Okay,
Okay. Other questions or comments? Okay. All those in favor?
aye.
Opposed? Abstentions?
Abstain.
Okay.
And then the next policy we have is policy JFAB, admission and tuition of non-resident students. Carl, did you have a comment about the will and the shall, I believe?
There is a will and a shall issue here, but the only comment, the only thing I suggest is that we change one item, and that is, if you look at items 1 and 2, the numbered 1 and 2, they refer to the sentence ending in a colon preceding. It says, students who are not residents of the district who are admitted by the superintendent shall be charged tuition except under the following circumstances. And 1 and 2 are circumstances appropriate to that. 3 and 4 are not. 3 and 4 are students who do pay tuition. So I would just suggest changing the language to reflect the fact that 1 and 2 fit the preceding phrase, and 3 and 4 need something different, just in terms of language.
Anne? Sorry.
Well, I may not be understanding you correctly, but I think three is outlined in the contract that's in the CVA contract. So are you saying,
I'm not suggesting changing the content at all. I'm just saying that the way it's phrased is that the items 1 and 2 are consistent with the phrase that leads into them. 3 and 4 are not. So it should be, instead of 3 and 4, you have to have another introductory phrase, or just leave out the 3 and the 4 and just separate them. But 3 and 4 are not examples of students who shall not be charged tuition. They are being charged tuition.
Janine?
So, Carl, okay, so let me, just to clarify for our newer members of the board, like when we do a first read policy, that is the time for you to bring these policies back to the policy committee, or you can call the superintendent or myself, or to bring your questions. By the time we get to a second read and it's before the board for adoption, we should have already had these discussions, and these questions should have been brought forward already. So this is kind of an awkward time for us to try to be like pulling these out and trying to make these changes at this point. So if any of you like look at this, like for instance, you know, the example that Carl just gave us, this doesn't make any sense to me. I believe that another sentence needs to be in here to introduce these two. The time to do that is first read, not at second read. Okay? Because it makes it, now we have to go back, you know, and I don't want to say no to a board member who wants to see this re-reviewed in policy, so we're going to absolutely take it back and review it. But that would be the time to do it. Curtis, I'm
Okay. I think the reason that it's set up like that is because 1 and 2 are set up that students will be charged a full tuition that the board sets. Okay. 3 is a reduced tuition because they're, according to the CVEA, and 4 is again a different tuition. So 1 and 2, it's just saying that's full tuition, and the other 2 are
Yeah, I think you're right, Mike, but I also think that Carl is right, and it doesn't
Yeah.
it doesn't make that distinction, and I think we should go ahead and make that revision, because this isn't a time-critical policy.
Okay,
We're not gonna make it now.
No,
We'll bring that back and we'll make the revision in policy and then bring it back at the
Okay.
next meeting, July meeting. No, we have another meeting in June, second June meeting.
I would comment that I did ask about the procedure in an earlier meeting and was informed exactly as we were tonight, that the first read is not the time to bring things up and that you should then talk about things with the committee. I did submit changes to these documents to the committee, and I discussed documents. So I thought it was best for me to raise it again tonight.
all right, thank you. All right, the third one.
Oh, third policy, JLP, parental notification and involvement in student welfare.
Yes.
Unfortunately, I do have a comment on this. I think I can make a motion to accept this with some very specific changes, very easy changes. So the changes I would recommend are in the first sentence to change will to shall. The second paragraph, change will to shall. And then we have a little logical problem that the second paragraph says, district personnel will or shall not discourage or prohibit parental guardian notification of and involvement in critical decisions affecting that parent's, guardian's, student's mental, emotional, or physical well-being. Then the next paragraph says, the superintendent is authorized to adopt procedures that permit district personnel to withhold any of the above information. So it says the opposite. So what I recommend is that paragraph 2, after the word well-being, which is currently at the end, add a comma and say, except as described below. Because the part that described below contradicts the paragraph above it. That was in the form of a motion, if anybody would like to deal with it.
Second.
Okay,
yeah, I have to respectfully disagree on that. I do see the shalls. Again, this is language that's flowed down. This isn't the policy committee's language. And I know that will is not legally binding, but that's the language we got. The third paragraph does not contradict, because if you went on to read that, there is an if in there. There is a clause that says, if a reasonably prudent person would believe that such disclosure would result in abuse, abandonment, or neglect. And again, those are defined in the RSA. So there is an if clause that makes it non-contradictory with the paragraph above.
Okay, so.
go ahead, Carl.
I do not see that is consistent. It says they will not, if you prefer, discourage or prohibit parental guardian notification. And then there's a period. And then the next sentence says they are authorized to withhold information.
Okay, other comments?
Okay, so rather than have this back and forth at like a second read, we'll take that back to policy committee as well. This is also I don't think this, in the first place, there's probably going to be another policy like supplanted anyway, but by the time the legislature is over, but I think we should take this policy back as well.
Okay, so we have a motion on the floor to return this policy to the policy committee, so. To amend it.
I'll withdraw my
Withdraw my second.
Okay,
I'll move that we
pardon me?
move that we ask the policy committee look it over again.
Do I have a second of that motion?
Second. Is this necessary? Do we have to make a motion to have the policy committee look at something? I'll longer?
withdraw my second.
All right. The policy committee has agreed to take it back and look at it, so we will leave it at that.
So DAF passes, JFAB, JLB are coming back again for a review.
Okay, thank you. While we have you, withdrawal of policy ICA, you wish to speak to that?
So we combined several policies together, two policies together on the school calendar. And what was the other one? ICF became, it was just redundant. So in the interest of not having redundant policies on the books and having clear forward, we rescinded policy ICF. It appears in another policy, I believe IC, isn't it? IC.
Okay, so at this point in time, we have to withdraw ICA, so do I have a motion to do that?
Okay, I guess we do.
Yes.
Okay. You want to make the motion?
So moved.
Second? Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Okay. Permission to hire. Every year, the board, at this point in time, makes a motion to allow the superintendent during the summer months to hire staff. Again, primarily because we do not always meet on a regular basis as a board, and we need to get the staff hired and fill the positions that we do have. So I would like a motion to give permission to the superintendent to hire staff during the summer.
So moved.
Second? Okay, any questions? Yes,
How many open positions do we have at this point? Was it 23?
I would have to double check.
Okay.
okay. Any other questions? All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? All right, we do have a need for one non-public session, so. Sorry, the cornucopia is not going to be on the agenda for tonight. We have one more public comment, so anyone else wish to come up and make a public comment? All right, thank you very much for coming. All right, do I have a motion for non-public? Second?
Second.
Okay,